Hello everyone, Trophy Wine Hunter. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is going to be interesting tasting, and this is kind of in the modern tone of things when people are trying to drink less wines, be more healthy. I'm going to taste and compare and contrast two wines which many people are familiar with. Firstly, the Kim Crawford 2024 Sauvignon Blanc. It's a staple among New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs, very consistent wine. And then also a product that has been on the market quite a while now, for I think about a year or two. This is the Kim Crawford Illuminate, which is 7% alcohol. Normally a Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc is about 13.5% alcohol. So let's try to talk about this first in terms of why this is happening. There is a trend that people are trying to drink less. There's more and more studies out there that do say that drinking, especially binge drinking, is definitely unhealthy. And unlike many years ago when there was a lot of more studies saying that drinking was healthy, I don't think it's very disputable anymore that scientifically you're better off drinking any alcohol than consuming alcohol. Now, of course, there's social factors involved and there's other individual genetics involved. But in general, I think it's a fairly proven scientific fact. That doesn't mean that I'm saying advocating you shouldn't drink. I mean, that's part of my lifestyle, but I guess that does change my moderation in terms of drinking. I don't drink as much, that's true, and I try to drink healthier. So along those lines, Kim Crawford has taken the step of producing an alcohol that's got lower alcohol. So why do you want to drink lower alcohol wines? Well, first of all, it's lighter. It's like beer. It's going to be lighter. You're not going to get hangovers as much. And secondly, wine has a lot of sugar. So you're going to consume less calories. So the average 5-ounce glass of Illuminate is going to have about 70 calories, whereas a 5-ounce glass of Kim Crawford regular Sauvignon Blanc is about 120. So for every 2 glasses of Kim Crawford regular, you can probably have 3 glasses of the other. So I guess it does over time matter, and again, that helps in terms of just health-wise. Many people, I guess, that don't drink alcohol or stop drinking alcohol or drink low alcohol wines do find that they do tend to lose a bit of weight. So that's what the explanation is for these wines. And really my interest here is to figure out, hey, are these wines, okay for a person like me who does drink a lot of wine? Is it acceptable? And, at least drinkable? Because for me, the alcohol content is not the most important thing. For me, it's the taste, the aroma, and also the social aspects of drinking. How is this Illuminati produced? It's through a process called spinning cone technology. I'm going to try and explain it a little bit. So spinning cone technology is been around for quite a while. So essentially what it has, there's a stack of cones that spin. I think every second one spins, and essentially what happens is the wine is poured through it, it keeps spinning, and then basically things are just kind of filtered out. And so essentially what you can do is it's kind of like a centrifuge where you can spin out things and spin out. So essentially you're going to spin out aromas, you can leave the alcohol. So they can capture, so these micromolecules of aroma and flavor can be captured. And so they spin out through this kind of centrifuge process. And basically what you could do is, if you did this long enough, you could spin out all of the flavors and keep all the alcohol in the actual centrifuge. But what they do with this technology is they basically spin out the extract so that it becomes 1% alcohol. And that is 60% of the blend of this. And then they blend in 40% of regular wine. And that's how they make 7%. So again, what they're trying to do is essentially spin out all the flavors and aromas and then leave the alcohol. So that's how it's done scientifically. So in theory, you shouldn't lose any of the aroma or the molecules of flavor. And in theory, all you should be losing is the alcohol. Quick history of Kim Crawford Wines. So it was established in 1996 by Kim and Erica Crawford. And at first, it was a virtual winery, and they only leased their lands, and they only bought grapes. But they were so successful at marketing the wines that they became this huge conglomerate, and one of the largest. It's kind of amazing that this name that only started in 1996 has become essentially one of the best known brands of New Zealand wine. And I know a lot of people might say, oh, they're very entry level. But give it to them. They're so successful. They're a very successful brand, and so good for them. They did sell to Vincor International in 2003, who was then purchased by Constellation Brands. And it's neat to note that they now actually are not involved in Kim Crawford wines at all, but they have a new winery, I think, Loveblock, and so I'll have that in the comment section. It's also interesting to note that at BC liquor stores, these are both priced at the same price, $21.99. But in fact, this month, the Kim Crawford full alcohol version of this wine is actually on sale for $17.99. So arguably, with this technology, it's actually harder to create a low alcohol wine. And so therefore, you have to pay more for a less alcoholic wine, which is kind of interesting. So let's taste the Kim Crawford full alcohol wine, which is 13.5%. So on the nose, very pleasant. This wine is, I know why it's successful, because it's very pleasant. It's got that honeysuckle. It's got some citrusy elements, some tanginess. It's quite aromatic and very smooth and vibrant. So quite very nice and easily accepted Sauvignon Blanc aroma. It gives you great quality. Kim Crawford, I've had it for many years, and the quality has always been like this. Very consistent, good quality. I think there are better producers out there that make a more intense, grassy, cat's pee type aroma wine, Sauvignon Blanc, which have a little bit more body. But this is fine for everyday drinking. It's got those citrusy grapefruit, orange, lemon peel flavors to it. Great acidity, real good feel in the mouth. Great summer sipper. This is what people expect from Sauvignon Blanc, and not difficult to accept. Great price point. There's not much wrong with this wine at its price point. Of course, it's got up there the last couple of years, at under $20 is spectacular. Now it's just over $20 in BC liquor stores, but it's still, I think, it's hard to beat in terms of the value and the consistency of this wine. Wine Spectator rates this 88 points. I actually think it's probably closer to 89 points. It's really a nice wine. You can't really ask for much more. It's not hugely complex, but that's not what you expect with Sauvignon Blanc. You just want something that's nice to drink, and I think it's really nice. Now let's taste the Illuminate, which has got 7% alcohol. One thing that they do, probably on purpose, is distinguish. They've got a darker bottle and a lighter bottle. I actually think they shouldn't do that. I think this looks like a more expensive bottle than this, just the color wise. I think a darker color looks more expensive. So they should either make them the same color or switch it around. This should be the light color, this should be a dark color. Because there's a perception now as a lighter, maybe it's supposed to be lighter alcohol, that it's kind of not as good just by the color, in my opinion. So let's compare and contrast this to the full alcohol 13.5% Sauvignon Blanc. So this is now going to be 7% alcohol. Again, 40% of this was distilled or using the spinning cone technology down to 1%, and then added to 60% of this full alcohol Sauvignon Blanc to make a 7% alcohol wine. Let's smell it. On the smell, I think it actually does smell a little different. It doesn't have as much vibrancy as the Sauvignon Blanc. It also has almost a smokiness to it. Not bad, but just different. I would say To me, it doesn't have as aromatic a smell as the regular Sauvignon Blanc. On the taste profile, you do get a lighter, more fruity type wine. Whereas the full alcohol has a full acidic, with what we call searing acidity, and a little bit of body that backs it. This wine has more fruit. You can tell that it is not as much alcohol in this wine. I think it does have a lighter feel to it, quite frankly. I think when you're used to alcohol, the full alcohol has a little bit more body and a little bit more oomph. You can feel that, and that's probably the alcohol. You can feel that body and that heaviness to this wine, and the flavors I think do come out a little bit more. Not that this is not a good wine. I think this is pretty decent. Wine Inspector typically rates the Illuminate about 2 points lower than the regular Sauvignon. I would tend to agree. I think this is in the 86 to 87 point range. Not a bad wine. As you can see by my ratings, I've rated a lot of wines in that range, and still thought they were very decent wines. When you're a wine drinker or alcohol drinker, you have a certain preference. You taste alcohol, and I think it's just unusual. I think if you got used to this, I think you'd be okay. And as we see more of these low alcohol wines, I think it'll be more and more acceptable. I don't think this is a badly produced wine. I don't think it's not tasty. We have to change our perspective, or we have to kind of get towards that perspective, because it's so different. So as an example, 20 years ago, no one ate geoduck. Everyone was grossed out by it. I've never heard anyone, because it looked kind of weird. Nowadays, everyone eats geoduck in Japanese restaurants, and it's a delicacy. What changed? The geoduck didn't change. It was our taste that changed, and our impressions that changed. And I think the same thing with this wine. I think it's more that I'm used to alcohol, and you can tell that this has less alcohol. And by it having less alcohol, I think it does affect the weight of the wine, which is exactly what is why they take out the alcohol, because it's lighter. And that weight, I think, adds a certain taste profile and brings out certain flavors. Whereas without the alcohol, it is lighter, and the focus of I think the aromas are not as vibrant, and also the tastes tend to sway towards the more citrusy, not even peel. So I think with alcohol, you get more orange peel, citrus peel. With low alcohol, you get more fruit, actually. And I would say almost like melons and almost like tropical fruits, more than you would with a regular Sauvignon Blanc. In conclusion, I think the Kim Crawford regular Sauvignon Blanc is still as good as it has always been. It's very consistent. And then the Illuminate provides the product that it wants to provide, which is a lighter product that has lower calories, that is, I think, a reasonable substitute for high alcohol wines. It's not the same, but it is going to be, I think, a reasonable adjustment or a reasonable substitute. And I think you will see over time that this will become more and more acceptable to our palates. And again, I think the explanation is that we as wine drinkers have a certain expectation of what wine tastes like, and it's going to take some time to change those views of what is acceptable. And this is nothing strange in history. Most wines in the world in the 1700s were sweet, even for dinner. And somehow at a certain point, we decided that our palate liked dry wines. That was what's interesting. And subsequently, sweet wines are only for dessert. This is, I think, the trend that's going to happen here. It probably won't happen over 5 years, but it will happen over time, because the trend is people are drinking less alcohol or lower alcohol wines. And so these products will taste different for sure than a full alcohol. But again, what we have to assess is the quality of it, and that's my job. I think if you look at it technically, Illuminate is a quality wine for the price and is an acceptable substitute for a full alcohol wine if you are interested in the two things that they offer, which is a lighter wine and less calories. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've actually learned a lot doing this video. I have tasted many low alcohol wines over the years and kind of said, oh, that doesn't taste like wine. And now I think I'm beginning to get it, partly because actually there are wines that are better. These are better wines than the initial low alcohol wines that were made. Again, hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy drinking.